Oh, good. So as we're getting ourselves comfy this evening, we'll grab the props that we've been using. So a blanket, some pillows. I'm going to continue with that big chest and shoulder stretch. So a yoga strap would be great if you have one. If you don't have the yoga strap, you can use your scarf or a rolled up towel. So you can gather those things, straps and scarves for some of our shoulder stretching. If you have your yoga blocks, feel free to incorporate those. And then maybe a couple of different size pillows. I'm using my bed pillow as more of a bolster, smaller pillow for supporting of the head. So I'll just chit chat while we got a couple more people signing on here. So again, my name is Joanne. This is our Wednesday evening Hatha class. In the month of April, I've been focusing a little bit more on chest and shoulder work, just improving our posture, helping us sit up nice and tall, counter all the hunching over laptops and phones we might be doing more of these days. So we'll continue with that. And then we're also going to start to incorporating some more movements for our core so that we can strengthen the muscles that wrap all the way around our waist, and also the four pillars of our body, the quadratus lumborum in the back and the iliacus psoas in the front. When we tone and strengthen these muscles, again, it's another way to improve our posture, which brings us spinal health, creates more space in the upper half of the body so we take pressure off our internal organs, decompress the spine, just stand a little bit taller. And when we feel personally stronger in our bodies, we often feel mentally stronger, emotionally more stable and strong. So it can affect our willpower and give us a little bit more courage to get through our days. I continue to thank you to all of you so much for continuing to tune in, spend some of your mornings and evenings with me and at the other classes. We appreciate it. Big thank you to Austin Yoga Tree and Jonathan and Aditi, who are doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So good job, you guys. If you ever have any questions, you can feel free to ask. You can give us feedback directly via Austin Yoga Tree's email, via their website. You can also contact me. I had somebody, okay. I'm real bad about my emails. I need to do better about checking my emails. I think I had somebody email me and I didn't get back to them yet, so I will do that. Anyway, gather up your goodies. If you want to stream music on your end, feel free to do so if that helps you stay a little bit more focused. So we will start in our gentle variation of our heart opener. Someone asked the other day if they could do supported fish pose on your blocks, taking the blocks and making a T to elevate the upper back and the head. Absolutely. You can always modify and adjust your practice to make it suit what feels best for you. Otherwise, take your blanket in its rectangular fold and go ahead and roll it on up. So we have a nice rolled up blanket here. This blanket will go towards the back of your mat, leaving enough space for your shoulders and your head. Remembering that we want our support for using the blanket to hit just at the tips of the shoulder blades, then the shoulders fall over the blanket back to the floor, cactusing the arms, bending the elbows to 90 degrees, and just allowing the backs of your hands to flop to the ground. If you notice one or both of your hands doesn't easily touch, that can be mobility, tightness in that area. So gravity can help traction you out over time. Once you get the upper half of your body situated, you have a few options for the legs as well. So those of us that have a tender low back, one way to help take pressure out of the low back is just to keep your knees bent up towards the ceiling. Then allow your knees to fall together, toes turn slightly in, using your pillow for a little bit of support. You want to add a hip opener, Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet touching, knees opening. Or simply stretch those legs out into Shavasana. So again, we'll take just a moment here to make all of our adjustments and get ourselves nice and comfy this evening. So adjust your clothing, your props, and your surroundings. Find the very back center of the skull. Once you're in your comfy place, so let's close those eyes so that we can redirect our attention inward this evening. And this pose should feel quite nice. It just immediately opens the chest, stretches the muscles through the front body, so you might even feel it improve your breathing right away. But as usual, we'll start with checking in with the whole body. So mentally scanning our bodies from the tops of the head all the way down to the fingertips and toes. Moving through our body and consciously letting go of any tension or tightness we might find, especially all those little muscles across the face. Soften the eyes, poof the cheeks, wiggle out the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Feel the weight of the shoulders and the arms sinking towards the ground as we release tension to the front of the chest, and again, improve our posture, improve our breathing here. Relax down the back. Let that low back sink to the ground. Relax around the waist and the abdomen. And then soften those larger muscles that wrap around the hips, into the hip sockets, all the way down those legs, into the ankles, feet, and toes. Any areas we come across that we might be healing or taking care of this evening, let's spend a moment with those areas, send a healing breath into them. And on our exhale, we'll let those areas relax as well, remembering that we approach our practice with santosha or contentment, being content with who, what, and where we are today, and ahimsa, our non-violence towards ourselves and our bodies. Let the whole body continue to let go, and we'll start to spread our awareness now to the breath. Simply begin by observing and watching the body breathe in and breathe out. Breathing as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. Observing the subtle movements and sounds of the breath, the quality of the breath. Noticing that on our inhalations, our body naturally expands as it fills itself up with fresh air, prana, and energy. And it naturally contracts as it exhales away stale old air and energy. Breathe at a smooth, even pace that's comfortable for your body. And let's start to bring our awareness a little bit more deeply around the abdominal muscles now. And we'll practice a few rounds of our belly breathing this evening to wake these muscles up and start to identify where they are in our body. So on our next inhale, you'll relax your belly completely and just allow it to stretch and expand like a balloon. On our next exhale, gently contract the abdominal muscles, drawing the belly back into the body. The inhale relaxes the belly, it stretches and expands, pulling our diaphragm down to pull that breath deep into our lungs. The exhale, gentle contraction, drawing the belly in. That pushes the diaphragm up to help push all that stale old air out of the lungs. With practice, you might be able to start to extend our breath, lengthening it and increasing our lung capacity. So you can try to take a little bit more breath in on your inhales, but just remember that the exhale is as important. So take the time to exhale the same amount out. And then let's all take one more cycle of breath, letting this breath be our biggest breath of our day yet. So when we get to our next inhale, really fill yourself up to the maximum. Expand, Breathing all the way from the bottom to the very top. And our next exhale, our biggest exhale of our day yet, taking the time to empty the body all the way back out. Empty, 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 every last drop from the top all the way back down to the bottom. And then we can let the breath wander away here for a moment, and it will naturally go wherever it wants. Just notice and feel the body again relaxed on the ground. And then we will gently start to wake the body up. So little wiggle of the fingertips, the toes, rock the head out. If your knees are open in Baddha Konasana, float those knees up, and let's all try to stretch our legs out in Shavasana. And then slide your arms overhead as far as you can reach. So coming into our long body stretch here. Point and flex your feet a couple times, spread those fingers, spread those toes. Stretch out that right side, stretch out the left. Give me a big breath in. And then on the exhale, walk those feet in, hugging the knees in, and we'll roll it over to our right hand side. Press down into the ground to come up, just enough to slide our props out. So we will come back down onto the ground just like we've been doing the other classes. So once you remove your props, go ahead and roll back down onto your back. Readjust again so you can loosen things up and get yourself comfortable. Walk your feet in towards your sit bones here. Parallel your feet a few inches between your feet and your knees. Those of you that have yoga blocks, place them between your inner thighs. Draw your shoulder blades under, place your head in a neutral position, reaching your fingertips towards the heels. Flowing bridge pose, you're gonna activate and squeeze the back muscles and float those hips up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, you'll lower the back down to the ground. So you're squeezing, strengthening the back, use your glutes, press through the upper arms and the feet to lift the hips up. Exhale to lower back down. This pose is also a nice counter stretch for all the sitting that we do. So as you're strengthening your back, you're also stretching the front of the body and the front of those hips. If we want to add the shoulder massage, inhale, squeeze, lift your hips, float your arms up all the way overhead. Weight moves into the meaty part of the shoulders, not the neck. And when you exhale, you float your hips and your arms back down to the ground. And that's a nice way to massage those muscles between and around the shoulder blades. And as we practice this pose, we might start to lift a little bit higher, coming more into an inversion, allowing your chest to move towards the chin, but avoid tucking the chin to the chest. Let's all flow through 2 more, whatever variation feels good for you tonight. And you're following your breath, moving at that rhythm. On our next exhale, we'll meet lowering back down to the ground. Take the prop out. Draw the low belly in, hug the knees in, feet parallel, rock your back out side to side. Stretch both legs up to the ceiling, our waterfall pose. Massage up and down the backs of those hamstrings. Point and flex your feet a couple times. And then take a hold of the backs of the thighs and press your thighs into your hands. Really trying to straighten your legs out as much as possible. Flex the feet, pulling the toes to the shins and the heels up towards the ceiling. You want to feel strength on the tops of your thighs and your quadriceps. Ground your back, pull the low belly in. So this, we're going to get into some abdominal work. We're going to try to hold this pose without the help of our arms. So your arms will come back down to the ground, palms down. And now I'm using my muscles to hold my legs up vertical. This is a challenging pose. To modify, bend your knees to 90, floating your shins parallel to the floor. And then take a hold of the outside of those thighs. Inhale, Supta Konasana, our wide angle stretch. Roll your ankles a few times. Deeper stretch, move your hands to the insides, allow gravity to stretch out those inner thigh and groin muscles, massage those muscles here. Big breath in. Exhale, squeeze those legs back up to waterfall pose. Bend your knees, take a quick break. You can massage and rock your back out side to side. So we're gonna do our yogi sit-ups again tonight. I'll give us some modifications as we go. Re-extend the legs up towards the ceiling. This time point through the toes of the feet. Bring the arms back down to the ground. You can slide your hands underneath the lower buttock, and that just encourages your low back to stay grounded. Remember, your spine should stay in neutral. You don't want your low back to hyperextend and lift too much up away from the mat, shoulders tucked under. We'll start with our single leg lift. So on the inhale, you'll lower your right leg away from you to whatever degree you can maintain your neutral spine. And then as you exhale, slowly pull it back up. I know it's easier to swing the leg. I want you to use your muscles. Inhale, lower the left leg. Ideally to the same degree you did in your first side. Exhale, pull it back up. One thigh should be stacked over a hip on each side. And you're moving with precision and control here. And again, at your rhythm of your breath, let your breath be your guide. The whole time you're drawing that low belly in. And then you gotta smile so that you don't use your jaw to do the work. Sometimes we tend to clench the muscles around our face when we're doing more strenuous work. So relax the face. And then go ahead and give me one more on each side. So one more on your right side, one more on your left. After you're balanced, hug those knees in, take a quick break, relax the belly. We are gonna do one more round this evening. And let me show you the modification too. If the straight leg's a little bit much, bend your knees to 90, and you can just touch one big toe to the ground, lift the thigh back up, and then touch the other one down. So that's your option. Or re-extend those legs straight up to the ceiling. Next option, you wanna take it a step further, glue your legs together. Both legs move as one unit, inhaling, lowering them away from you. Now maybe you don't go as far, you have to maintain that neutral spine. And when you exhale, slowly pull them back up. That's the challenge. We don't want to strain our low back, but we do want to strengthen all those deeper abdominal muscles. Don't use the face. And if you feel a little burning sensation in the belly, that's good. We're trying to increase the agni or fire around the abdomen. So these poses are also beneficial for our digestion and can help improve our metabolism. And you can always go back to your single legs or your bent knee modifications. Make sure you're just moving with precision and the breath. And let's all try to do two more. So one more on each side if you're doing your singles, or two more together. And then after we balanced ourselves out, again, hug your knees in, rock it out side to side, relax the belly completely. And then bring the right arm beside the head. Let's go ahead and roll onto our right side. Pausing in sleeping baby pose for a moment, get our blood pressure regulated from being in our gentle inversion. Turn the heart towards the ground, press down into the ground, and we'll bring our bodies up. All right, that just made me really hot. I'm gonna open up my door. Get a little fresh air in. Whew. All right, so let's get into our upper bodies. Go ahead and sit up on your cushions, the seat of a chair, whatever is most comfortable for you. Sit up nice and tall, find those sit bones, crossing at the shins in Sukhasana or heel to heel alignment. Move the flesh out of the way so that you are balanced equally on your sit bones. Now we're still working these muscles to keep our spine nice and long. It takes some effort. Try not to slouch. Instead, engage through that low belly. So we'll actually be breathing more thoracically whenever we're using our abdominal lock, Uddiyana Bandha, and root lock, Mula Bandha. You just breathe around your rib cage like a barrel, and you could still feel your ribs expanding on the inhale and then contracting on the exhale. Let's extend our arms out to the sides, palms up. Another big breath in through the nose, just reaching those arms up towards the ceiling. Turn those palms out and exhale, float the fingertips to the floor. Seated triangle pose. Inhale that right arm up. Lean in a lateral plane over to your left, keeping the right sit bone rooted. Inhale, use your muscles to come up. On your exhale, you'll lean to your other side. The more you push the hip down, the more you will actually stretch through your waist and your rib cage. And just continue to go side to side in this lateral plane, giving our side bodies a nice big stretch. Remembering that you can chase the gaze. So if you look down, you'll stretch a little bit more through the back of the neck. Or if you're looking up to your top hand, you can stretch a little bit more through the front. Let's take it one more time, up and over to your left. One more time to our right. We'll meet back in center when we get there, so reach both arms up. Bring your palms to touch and exhale to center. Those of us sitting cross-legged, switch up the cross of your legs, place the opposite foot in front. Into Revolve 10 fingers, you can also switch up the thread of your fingers. Exhale, flip your palms forward. Now draw that belly in, round out the back, chin to chest. Inhale, tip your pelvis forward, floating those arms up beside your ears, stretching the shoulders and the chest. Seated cat-cow. Exhale, tucking, rounding into flexion, stretching out those muscles of the upper back. Inhale, create space up your spine, stretching out the shoulders and the chest. One more. Let's meet on our inhale. When we get there, arms up. Pull that low belly in, open your hands up, active twisting. Exhale, rotate to your right. Keep the spine long. Back fingertips can reach behind you, front fingertips to opposite knee. The head and the eyes can follow. Again, use your muscles. Inhale, pull yourself back up to center. Keep this length. Exhale, squeeze and twist to your left. Keep the shoulders and chin parallel to the floor. Inhale, big reach up. One more time to each side. Nice big twist, wring everything out. Inhale up. One more time to our left. Exhale and twist, twist, twist. Inhale, reach everything back up. Palms touch. Exhale to center. All right, so let's go into our bigger body movements, finding our way to our tabletop. Add extra cushion for your knees as you like. Spread those fingers as wide as you possibly can. Open those hands as wide as your shoulders. Press into the ground. Use some of your muscles here. Low belly, pulling in slightly, just so you can keep your spine in neutral and maintain a nice level hips. Thigh bones are perpendicular to the floor. Remember, the head gets heavy and it wants to fall, so just gaze slightly forward. Keeping your hips level, stretch that right foot back. We're pressing the heel towards the ground to intensify the stretch from the back of the leg. Those of us that want to add that strength element, without lifting your hips, try to squeeze to lift your left knee and foot from the floor. A runner's plank, like you're about to dart out of those starting blocks on a track. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, tabletop. Left foot stretches back, foot's to the floor, toes are tucking under. You're pressing your heel back. If you want to deepen that stretch into the Achilles and the calf muscles. Stay there, press into the ground without lifting your hips. Try to use your muscles to pull that right knee up and in towards the body, the torso. Big breath in. And exhale, tabletop. Remember your wrist options. Anytime your joints are stacked, you can round through your fingertips into Hasta Bandha, or make your strong punching fist and punch your fist into the ground. On our inhale, relax the belly, stretch the back from the tip of the tailbone up to the crown of the head. As you exhale, draw the belly in, tuck your tail under, chin to chest, rounding your back. Again, follow your rhythm of breath. Inhaling to a gentle back bend. Exhale, scooping, tucking, and rounding. And again, feel free to add other little movements here to stretch up those muscles, whatever you feel like you need. And then once we come back to neutral position, our first child's pose, choose a variation that works for your body. Widening child's pose sometimes allows us to go a little bit deeper into it. So we open our knees wider than our hips, touch our toes, and we sink those hips to the heels. Hands can stay really wide. You want a bigger stretch for the shoulders, help get rid of tension there. Melt your belly, your heart, and head to the floor. If the head doesn't easily touch the floor, stack your 2 fists under your forehead, a prop. If it's a little bit much to sit back because of your knees, you can take your rolled blanket behind your knees or simply keep your hips up and rest on your forearms. And we'll hold our child's pose, giving that low back and hips a nice big stretch here for just a couple more breaths. Our next breath in, we'll float the head and the body back up to our tabletop position. So realign your knees and your feet. This time, walk your hands 1 hand's distance forward so the arms are more at 45. Tuck those toes under. We'll float our hips up and back. Shift that weight down the back of the legs through those heels. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. You're welcome to always do downward dog with your hands on a chair that's safe and doesn't slip, or even with your hands at a wall, and you can still get the benefit of stretching out the back. Now feel free to pedal your heels one at a time to go deeper into that stretch for the backs of the legs. Remember, we want to keep internal rotation in our hands, so we're rolling into the mound of your index fingers and thumbs, but there's external rotation in those upper arm bones, so roll your upper arm bones down and away from the ears. Feel that, pull your shoulders down your back, long side bodies, round the low belly in. Belly tracks towards the thighs and your thighs push towards the back of your mat. Deep into the knees, great modification if you have tension in your low back or tight hamstrings. Now let's all find stillness in our pose. Down dog is an inversion, so another nice way to send energy and blood flow towards the brain and the head, but we just have to be mindful of any blood pressure, heart conditions. Next inhale is going to bring us to Uttanasana, standing forward fold. So you can look forward and walk your hands to your feet, feet to your hands. Taking the fuller version of Uttanasana, straightening the legs up, and then taking a hold of your elbows or dropping the arms and the head towards the ground. Modify for your low back by bending your knees and placing your elbows on your thighs. And this is still an inversion. Those of you in ragdoll, you can sway your shoulders and elbows a little bit. If you're modifying like me, I'm dangling one arm at a time, so I still have the support of the opposite leg. Legs should still be strong. Lift up those toes, fire those quads. Think about those pelvic floor muscles, Mula Bandha Root Lock, and those lower abdominal muscles, Uddiyana Bandha. Let's do a little bit of that strengthening for our back now on our halfway lifts. So on our inhales, hands to shins or higher, lift your chest. Intentionally squeeze your shoulder blades together and try to float the head in line with the spine. Exhale back to your forward fold, whatever that looks like for you. The inhale, use the strength of your back to lift halfway up, pull your shoulder blades down the back. If you want more, locust your arms beside the torso, palms facing in. Exhale, fold. Let's try 2 more. Inhaling, halfway lift, Shalabhasana, the arms for a little bit more. Exhale, fold. 1 more. Inhale, lift. On this exhale, we sit back to Utkatasana, reaching the arms forward and upwards. Good. So we're going to try to hold our regular Utkatasana here, but shrug your shoulders from your ears. The head should be floating, no tension in the face, the neck and throat. Powerful pose. It actually means fierce, as in strong and fierce and powerful. Your feet should be running parallel, toes pointing forward, knees tracking to the center of your feet or your toes. You're rooting the tailbone towards the ground, low belly in. If you are holding a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders, you're welcome to bring hands to heart. But if you want a little bit more intensity for our core this evening, keep your arms upwards. Focus your gaze and let's try to hover our right foot from the floor without too much leaning. Just pick it up. Good. Bring that foot down, squeeze and lift the left foot from the floor. Little balance here. Good. Bring that foot down. Let's try to sink a little lower down, driving your sit bones back, knees to toes. Next, inhale, straighten your legs, reaching your arms forward and all the way up to the ceiling. Extended mountain pose, gentle back bend just by gazing upwards. Turn your palms out and exhale, float your arms down to Tadasana. Extend your fingertips away from the shoulders, float the head on those shoulders. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Nice active legs. Remember, don't thrust your kneecaps backwards. Instead, pull up through the quads, lower down through the tail, draw in through the low belly. So from here, let's do a little bit more balance work. Bringing hands to heart center. Lean to your right leg. So now we will do a little leaning action. We're gonna add a variation to our star pose tonight, but we'll start like we normally do. So your standing legs straight and strong. Try to start to lift and lower your left toes. Make sure you're in a safe space wherever you are too. Now soften your arms beside the body and try to hover here on our standing leg. The next option is to use more of your muscles. Spread your toes and fingers and lift the leg and the arms out into our V. So tonight I'm going to add an extra challenge. I can't remember if we've done this together, if this was in my other class. Here's the action. You bring both of your arms over to your right. So now I'm in a diagonal line from my leg up to my arms. Now on the exhale, I'm going to pull my left knee across my midline and my elbows over to the side, like I'm doing the Heisman Trophy maneuver, right? Then I inhale. I saw somebody crack up. You can't make me laugh and balance at the same time. Exhale, pull the knee and the elbows upward. And inhale, re-extend. Oh my gosh. This is why I'm not a comedian. Let's try one more. Exhale, squeeze. Oh, it cracked me up. Inhale, reach it out, and then try to land as gently as possible back into our Tadasana. Laughter is the best medicine, ain't it? Bring your hands back to your heart. And if you can crack yourself up and balance on one foot, now that's the real yoga. That's advanced yoga. Lean it to your left. Try to lift and lower those right toes a couple times. And now try to softly hover and hold. So all my close friends know I'm like the biggest dork on the planet. So there you go. From here, you can reach your arms out to your V, lift the leg up. So now I'm contracting. I'm using my abductors, my obliques, balancing here. If we want to do that crisscross action, reach both arms over to your left. So I'm moving in this diagonal plane. So this will work that waistband of muscles again. On the exhale, pull the knee up and across the midline. Elbows try to cross over to the side. And then inhale, reach out. This is challenging. And we're also crossing that midline. And that is not an action that we normally do in our daily lives, moving in this different plane. So it's really good for the brain as well. And it works muscles that don't get a normal use in our normal lives here. Strong exhales, big inhales. Let's try one more, really squeeze. It's like a little bit of a twist. And then we'll inhale, meet on the opening. On the exhale, softly land back down to Tadasana. And try not to fidget. Just find your mountain pose. Notice how the body and the breath feel. Big breath in. And exhale, relax. All right, let's grab our straps or our yoga belt. It got really humid out. I'm like working up a sweat. Whew. So you'll grab your strap or your scarf. We'll keep our legs in nice strong Tadasana legs. So don't lock out your knees, pull up your muscles, pick up your toes. Remember, these are really big stretches, so don't ever force it or push it. You shouldn't be grunting and straining. Your breath should always flow smoothly and evenly. When one shoulder says that's enough, that's when you stop, okay? When you get into any little obstacles, you just modify. You might want to start with a wider grip at first. The inhale is going to float that strap overhead. Now look, don't lose the alignment, and the torso. So don't let your lower ribs thrust forward when you start to go into that chest opening. There's a tendency to kind of want to over hyperextend and do that gymnast landing move. Really not great for the back, okay? You can start taking the strap slightly behind you for a bigger stretch, but stay connected to your core. If the mobility is there, you can also bring it up, back, and all the way down behind you. And then you can roll it back, up, and down. And this should feel good. It's a really nice counter stretch to all the computer work again, or if you find you're doing more work gardening outside. So the next time our strap comes up, we're gonna hold it right above the head. So bring your strap nice and taut right above the head. Both legs really strong. You can always pick up those toes. Ardha Chandrasana, you squeeze your muscles on the right side to stretch your left. So you're leaning over to your right. The inhale pulls you up. And then again, we're moving in this lateral plane. So I'm contracting one side body to stretch the other. Both legs equally grounded. And the head is just a natural extension of the spine. Let's do one more to each side. So you'll take it over one more time to your right. Big crescent moon shape. Inhale it up. And then again, over to the left. And inhale. Let's reach it back up. Find that sweet spot here. So wherever you feel like you're getting your biggest stretch, we'll just hold it in one spot now for an extra breath. Let the head be floating on those shoulders. Take a big breath in and exhale, release. All right, good job. We can set the strap down. Give your hands a little shake. Noodle your arms a couple times, loosey-goosey. So we have also been doing this other balancing pose, either more like a standing locust pose, where you're not going very far, but you're still getting this really strong activation of one glute and low back at a time. Some of us might tilt to Virabhadrasana 3. Again, you can use a wall or a chair. Just make sure if you're using a chair that it's on a surface that won't slip on you. Come back to Tadasana, and our feet are going to be in our parallel stance, hips width apart. Knees to toes, strong core. Bringing the hands onto our hips, just step your right foot back a little bit. So my left leg is my standing leg. I'm keeping my hips square, and I really want to keep my heart and chest open. There should never be any rounding of the back in this pose. Now here comes the action. You're going to start to tighten up your right glute, hamstring, low back muscles, and just try to lift that leg a couple centimeters from the floor. You do not have to go very far to feel this. Do not just lean the body forward. I really want you squeezing and strengthening up through the back here. Now, as the leg lifts higher, that will propel your hips forward. But the body is an extension of the leg, like a seesaw or a teeter-totter. Super strong core. You can also extend those arms back beside your torso, palms squeezing in like locust pose or Shalabhasana. There is an option to bring hands to heart or extend them alongside of the ears. But if you stretch your arms overhead, you will be putting more pressure on your low back. So really be kind to your low backs. Don't overdo it. And eventually, maybe someday, the leg and the body become parallel to the floor. Virabhadrasana 3 or locust pose. Let's all take one more breath in the pose. And if we fall out of it, we just come back to it. The inhale is going to lift the head up, dropping the foot down. Re-extend those arms forward and up, extended mountain. Turn the palms out, exhale back to mountain. And just pause for a moment. Try to hold your concentration, just noticing effects that the poses have on the breath and the body. And then other side, hands to hips, step that left foot back. So right leg, nice strong, root it through the earth. Use your lower locks. So if you pull up through your pelvic floor muscles and pull in through your low belly, it will also help with balancing. Squeeze your whole left side to lift that leg up just a tiny bit from the floor. You'll feel that tightening and strengthening the glute and the hamstring and the low back. Keep your chest open. You can try to lift the leg up higher. That action tilts the hips, bringing the body closer towards the ground. Arm options, locust them beside you, activating those upper back muscles, palms squeezing in, hands to heart, or you can try the longer lever and extend them overhead, upper arm bones beside the ears. And let's all take one more big breath in. Big breath out. The inhale floats the crown of the head up. Steps the left foot down. Re-extend the arms forward and up. Extended mountain pose. Turn your palms out. Exhale, float those arms down to mountain. Pause for a moment. And then relax. Let's see how I'm doing on time. This class goes to 7:15. Okay, we're doing good on time. So let's come back to Tadasana towards the front of your yoga mat if you've moved yourself around. Feet parallel to each other, extend your fingertips down. Lengthen from the inner groin all the way down to the inner heel, contracting outer heel up and towards those hips. Let the heart be open and relax the head on the shoulders. Give me a big breath in. Re-extend the arms out wide and overhead. Gentle back bend, just taking your drishti upwards. Exhale, micro bend your knees, hinge from your hips, and take a big swan dive back to whatever your forward fold goes. Now look, we just did some back strengthening, which will tighten those muscles, so be patient with yourself to go back to a forward fold, but this will help counter that and stretch those muscles back out. Inhale to your halfway lift. On this exhale, we're going to find our mat, so you can get there however is best for you. Bending knees, planting hands, and take that big step back into plank pose. So we're going to go a little longer tonight. So spread your fingers, hands should be as wide as your shoulders, arms are straight. Keep your head floating and lifted in line with the spine. Really pull in through the low belly. Kneeling plank, always an option. Just keep scooping your tailbone under. If that's too much on your wrist, drop it down to your forearm plank. And we're going to try to bring and hold the body parallel to the floor. So we've already been going for like 10 seconds. We're going to try to go for 30 more seconds starting now. Smile. Use your powerful breath. Squeeze those glutes. Scoop that tail. Push the ground away from you. Feel the body shake a little bit as we wake up all those muscles. Good job. Do it with me. Don't leave me hanging. We can do this. We got this. We're so close. Big breath in. Big breath out. And release to your resting pose. Good job. So you can flip back to down dog. You can take it back to a child's pose if you like. When we hold plank long enough, downward facing dog does become that resting pose, it's often called. But sometimes it takes a good plank to feel that effect. Whew. And again, just notice the effect that posture had on your body, your breath, and your brain. Next inhale, we're going to come back into a plank or kneeling plank, and we're going to exhale it and lower it back down onto our belly. Bending your elbows, come all the way down to the ground. Adjust yourself, take a moment. Place your hands or forearms under your forehead, relax your forehead down. Toes in, heels out, rock your hips a couple times, wiggle it out. The mosquitoes are back, so now I gotta close my door. So we've been doing this big shoulder stretch. That's the next pose that we're going to do. This is another one that feels really wonderful to stretch out the front of the shoulder and the chest, but don't force it and just take your time moving into the pose. Let's start with our right arm tonight. So you'll just stretch your right arm straight up from your shoulder, palm down to start. Place your left hand under the left shoulder and you push down to roll onto your right side. And some of us might want to have a pillow or a yoga block ready if the head doesn't like to hang in space there. Just placing an extra support underneath the head in this pose can help. Variations. Ooh. You can stay stacked here on your right side, or you can bend your left knee up to the ceiling and plant the foot behind the right leg. You can also try to bend your right knee up. I like my right leg down to the ground. I actually get more of a stretch if I keep my right leg down for whatever reason. And then there's another option to float the left arm up, let it fall behind you. At that point, you flip your right palm up and you try to interweave all 10 fingers back there. And we're feeling the stretch to the front of the right shoulder and the chest. And let's all take one more breath. To come out of the pose, bring the left hand back down. We got to unwind. Whole body comes back down onto the belly. Bring your hands into prayer position and try to straighten your arms off the front of your mat, forehead to the floor in a crocodile pose. And make sure you bring yourself back to neutral before we do the other side. So extend your left arm out straight from the shoulder. Right hand underneath right shoulder. And then you push down and start to roll onto your left side. With the legs stacked, a little bit of balance, but your right hand can help you. Support the head if it needs it. Right knee bends up to the ceiling. Foot falls behind the leg, foot to the floor. You can try to bend up your bottom knee as well, your left knee if you want. And then another option is to reach that right arm up and let it fall behind you. Maybe the ability to interweave all 10 fingers back there. If not, you can let gravity traction you out or just come back to a previous variation. And let's take one more breath in the pose. So that's a full breath in, a full breath out. If the hand is behind, inhale it up. Unwind yourself out of the pose, reversing. Mindful movement, rolling back onto our belly. Hands in prayer position, forehead to the floor. And swim your arms as far away from you as you can. Rock your hips out, toes touching, heels open. Crocodile pose. And then bring the hands underneath the shoulders, the chin to the floor, tuck your toes under, tuck your tailbone under, pull that inner belly into the body and push yourself up nice and easy. And then we'll sit back to child's pose. Taking the more traditional version will help release a lot of the weight on the shoulders and hands we just did. So keeping the knees together, bowing the head to the floor, and then sliding your hands back to your feet. And then you just let the weight of the arm bones hang away from the body. Hands under shoulders, tuck the chin. We'll round it up one vertebra at a time. And then from here, we're going to practice an arm balancing pose. We'll just do this really quickly. If it's not an option for you to sit in hero's pose on your heels, you will bring your feet in front of you and just sit in Sukhasana cross-legged pose. Otherwise, we'll continue to sit back on our heels, okay? This is going to be an arm balancing pose. Those of you that have 2 yoga blocks or your big thick books and they're on a nice solid surface and aren't slipping away from you, you can place those things right next to your hips. It'll give you a little extra advantage because it will give you a longer lever. This does put pressure in the wrists. You can do this in your fist for wrist action though. So what we do is we lift our hips and you cross one ankle over the other and then you sit back down. You press your hands into the ground, you pull in through the belly and you try to lift your knees up from the floor and your feet. It is all core, core, core. It's called Valasana or scales pose. It's like you're a scale And just do it the best you can. These are super powerful poses. Give me a big breath in. Exhale, release. Uncross your ankles. Lift up your hands and dangle your fingertips in the air for a moment. And then gently press the backs of the hands together to help counter that pressure on your wrists. We're gonna try it one more time. So cross the opposite ankle on top behind you. So my one ankle is just hooked over the other behind me. You bring your hands down underneath the shoulders. You really have to scoop and pull up through the core. And as you press down to the ground, you pick your knees up. And eventually someday your feet come up. And now you're just floating as light as a feather. And if you're doing it, great. And if you're like me and you're just hovering your knees an inch or two, that's great too. Gotta breathe. Give me one more big breath in. Whew. Exhale. Undo the cross of the feet. Praying mantis pose. Squeeze your forefingers towards your thumb. Pull those fingers towards your forearm. It looks like a praying mantis. And then shake it on out. Oh, okay. I will try. Yeah, the lighting is not great. Let me see. I can also move more forward. Did that help at all? Maybe. Someone said it was really hard to see me, so. All right, so give your hands a little bit of a shake, loosey-goosey. And then scoot your hips over to one side and bring your feet forward, and we'll release our seated pose. Let me see. I have a light here. That might help a little bit. When it's sunnier out, it's a little bit easier. So our feet are gonna be out in front of us and we're back down on the ground. And let's see if I scooch my mat more into the lighting here. So we are gonna come back onto our backs. Remember, the safest way to come down is to plant your hands down and lower yourself down, and you can wait for us there. Those of us that want to add an added element, some more core, we're going to do our slow sit-ups and coming down to the back. So I really just want you to go as far as you can tonight. Once you've had enough, you'll wait for us on your back. So if you want to join me in doing these slow sit-ups, you bring the feet to the floor and your knees are open wider than your hips. And the knees are bent up. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Thank you for the feedback. So my knees are wider than my hips. And I might do something, I have this white sheet I hung up. So I'm gonna experiment with trying to do something with that as well, especially when the lighting isn't as great outside. So there is a little scooping action here. I'm pulling my low belly in, scooping my tailbone under. And I'm gonna reach my fingertips forward. And then we're trying to articulate the spine. So we start out real small. I come down just an inch or two, so I'm on the lower flat part of my back. And then I inhale and I come back up. I scoop, I tuck, I try to go a little bit lower, further onto the sacrum into the lumbar. And then I inhale and come back up. So this is where I said, when you get to a point where it becomes uncomfortable, either for your back or your body, just hang out for us. I'm going a little further, and now we gotta inhale, come back up. Scoop and tuck, round it down. Low back, mid back, tips of the shoulder blades. Inhale, reach and lift it back up. Keep going, scoop and tuck. Roll vertebra by vertebra, mid back, shoulder blades. Scoop and reach it all the way back up. One more, scoop and tuck. Really pull the belly in and in, roll it down vertebra by vertebra, back of the head touches, and then inhale, reach and roll all the way back up. Good job, I lied, this is the last one. Scoop and tuck, slow as you can go. Once the shoulders and the head hits down, go ahead and reach your arms overhead. Re-extend your legs straight out on your mat to your long body stretch. Flex your feet, spread your toes. Let your low back now gently arch away from the ground. Hook your thumbs together in your butterfly hands. Now try to pull your hands apart. They're not going to go anywhere. And you should feel that help stretch out around the shoulder blades again. Switch the cross of your thumbs, pull them apart, big breath in, spread your toes, flex your feet, and then release the grip of your thumbs, and as you exhale, slide your elbows back down in line with your shoulders into your cactus arms. So kind of the same position we just started, but we're just flat on our backs now. And then walk your feet in, but open your feet as wide as your yoga mat. We're going into windshield wiper pose, gentle back bend and twist. So as you exhale, we drop both knees over to the right. They're not stacked. They're staggered like the windshield wipers of a car. And then when you inhale, you float up. Exhale, let your knees fall to the left. So your right side will arch up off the ground, and you'll feel the stretch along the front of your right hip and hip flexor. And you'll keep going side to side. Now the head can turn the opposite direction of the knees. Keep your shoulders sinking into the ground. And the more you actively push your knees towards the ground, the more that will intensify the twist, the hip stretch, and the little arching of the low back. Take it one more time to each side. So one more time to your right side, stretching out the left. And one more time, knees to the left, stretching out the right. And then we'll meet back in neutral. Bring the head and those knees up. Pull the low belly in to hug your knees in. Bring your hands to your knees or your shins and rock side to side here. Happy baby pose, reaching for the toes or the feet. Knees are open nice and wide. Soles of the feet are going to face up towards the ceiling. And you're dropping the weight of your knees towards the outside of the body. Do try to keep your low back grounded. Adding a rock side to side here. Nice big hip opener. A single leg stretch. So stretching out one leg at a time. Or maybe re-extend both legs out into your V stretch. You might have to move your hands. If you have your toes or your feet, you'll get a little bit more intense of a stretch. Take a big breath in. Let go of your feet, and as you exhale, squeeze those legs straight back up to waterfall pose. Feel free to use your hands to help support your legs. Point, flex your feet a couple times. And then we'll hug those knees in. Try to wrap your arms across your shin bones, taking hold of opposite elbows or wrists. Head floats up, nose towards the knees, stretching out the whole back. Giving our bodies a nice, big, grateful hug this evening. Big breath in through the nose. And then our exhale, let's drop it down to the ground. If you feel like there's one more pose that you would like to do before our final relaxation, you can. If you want to take another spinal twist, or you feel like you need to float your hips up and bridge pose one more time, anything that you want to do so that your body can be ready for Shavasana, feel free to do so. I'll give us a couple moments to do that as well. Those of us that are ready to start to move into our final relaxation, you can start gathering up props to support the back of the head, the knees, the thighs, or legs. So I'm going to give us all a moment, those of us that are still moving in one more pose. So if you're moving yourself around in one more posture, let's slowly start to balance ourselves out and gather up our goodies for final relaxation. So pillows, blankets, eye coverings. We really want to make ourselves as comfortable as possible. Our most important pose we practice, sometimes the most challenging pose we practice. This is the part of our yoga where we absorb all the benefits. of everything we just did. We're training our body and mind to relax and to be able to instill that peace and calm from within. So I will do a little bit of verbal relaxation guidance and then give us several moments to enjoy this posture in silence, and then bring us back out this evening with the singing bowl to finish class together. So let the weight of the head sink back down into the ground, finding the very back center of the skull. Hoof the cheeks, wiggle out the mouth, the tongue, and the jaw. The arms can just roll open beside the torso, palms up, letting your fingertips curl up naturally, and feeling the weight of the shoulders, the elbows, and the backs of the hands sink into the ground. Relax the throat and the heart. Relax the back of the heart. And then gently breathe and relax down the back, vertebra by vertebra. Relax around the waist and relax the abdominal muscles completely, all of the internal organs. Soften those larger muscles of the hips, the buttocks, the tops and backs of the thighs. And let that relaxation flow like water behind the knees, into the ankles, feet, and toes. Relaxing the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath becomes easy and quiet. If the mind wanders or becomes distracted, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath. Giving ourselves just one more moment of today to let go, to feel a sense of surrender, and sink into Shavasana. Slowly, we'll come back to the breath. Start to breathe life back into the body as we wake up our toes and fingertips. Gentle rock of the head side to side. Rolling the ankles and the wrists. Re-extending the arms overhead to stretch the whole body out. Stretching out the whole right side. Stretching out the whole left. And big breath in to stretch everything out together. Spread those toes and fingertips. The exhale floats the arms down, walks feet in. Draw the belly in to hug the knees in, massage the back. Right arm falls beside the head, rolling and pausing on our right hand side in Supta Balasana. Pausing to reflect on our practice tonight. And setting a positive intention or mantra to take with us from our practice into our night. And then bring the left hand to the ground, turn the heart towards the ground. Try to keep the eyes closed or soft as you push down. We'll bring our bodies back up, revisiting any comfortable seated posture. Sitting up nice and tall through the crown of the head, being mindful of our surroundings. Let's take a couple more big breaths together tonight. Reach the arms out beside you, palms up. Big breath in through the nose to float those arms all the way up to the ceiling and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our evening. Turn those palms back out. Exhale, float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and let go of all that other junk that we don't need this evening. And one more big breath together. Inhale, reaching up. Palms touch. Exhale, lowering hands to heart. Humbly bowing the head to the heart to honor and thank our bodies, ourselves, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice yoga together today. Feel free in joining me to chant the Om Shanti mantra if you like, taking a deep breath in through the nose. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tat Sat. And I thank each and every one of you again for choosing to practice some yoga with me tonight. So happy to have you